Okay, great. Call the,
Call the O.
well, he was giving him a password. Call the meeting of the Sanborn Regional School Board to order. I'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. All right, Rick, since you are remote, will you just state your name, your location, and if there is anyone in the room with you?
Yep, Rick Edelman in a hotel room by myself.
Great, thank you. All right, do I have an action on the minutes from April 5th, 23?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Great. All right, any comments? Nope, I'm gonna say, all right, we're all good. All right, all in favor? Roll call. Yeah, I know, roll call.
Yep.
Rick,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jeremiah,
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Micah,
Yes.
and myself. Yes, unanimous. Thank you. All right, as soon as I get to manifest documents, I will send them around. Resignations.
All right, so it's a complicated evening this evening with this because we're very happy to say that we technically have to do resignations first because we had our math interventionist at the high school is Brenda Goudreau, and she was going to retire this year. And she came to see me the other day and she said, I'd really like to stay one more year.
Oh.
So I called Jen Mitchison and said, yay, and she's doing a happy dance. So we're in very good space about this. We're very happy to ask the board to rescind Brenda Goudreau's resignation. So that's the first step.
See, if they voted no on that resignation.
Exactly. If you'd voted no, this would have been a good one. And then I'll go to the nominations.
All right,
So I make a motion to
rescind.
rescind the resignation.
Second.
Great. All right, roll call vote. Rick,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jeremiah,
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
Jamie,
Aye.
Micah,
Yes.
and myself. Yes. Great.
Great. And so it's my pleasure to nominate Brenda Goudreau for math interventionist next year.
I make a motion to accept with yay.
Second.
With
Great.
yay?
Yay.
All right,
Yay.
thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right, roll call vote. Rick,
Yes. Yay.
Heather,
Yay, yes.
Jeremiah,
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
Jamie,
Aye.
Micah,
Yay.
and myself. Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Unanimous. Thank you.
Mrs. Rooney, will you let Brenda know that she's all set? She'll be very happy.
All right. And that was the only nomination, correct?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Right, your report.
Well, we are quickly barreling into spring weather. And so my report is pretty simple this evening. Parents, please monitor your students' dress. It is very, very uncomfortable for our staff to say things to both male and female students when they are not dressed appropriately in the spring weather. So if you could help us out to save the trouble, that would be wonderful. I think Miss Mitchison might have stepped out of the room for a minute, but I'm sure that she would echo my sentiment that as the weather gets better, the clothing gets, well, let's just say uncomfortable to address. So we do ask that parents help us with this because it is very difficult for us to police at the school level. Spring sports are starting to rock, and we're really excited for all the different spring sports this year. And I just hope that our community will go out to the different sporting events. I enjoyed being at many fall sporting events, and I will try to get over to the fields as much as possible after school. If you see me there, please don't hesitate to chit chat, ask me questions. And I'm always happy to talk with people. I'm kind of there to visit and get to know people. So just want folks to know that when I'm at a game, I'm there to visit with the community as much as see the kids play. So thank you very much. And I look forward to the spring sports season.
Do I have any committee reports? All right.
Bullet one, bullet.
Bullet one, bullet two. There we go.
Finance met today, just before this meeting.
reviewed the administrators' comments reports, went through some of the details with the new members, and I was elected chair.
Thank you. All right, I don't think we have any other. So, and JJ is currently at a baseball game trying to get back here to the meeting before the public session ends. So hopefully he can give his report if he gets here in time. So fingers crossed.
Hey, Dawn,
Yes.
real quick on Tom's comment regarding, sort of dress and attire for the kids. Are we sending anything out as like a reminder to what the dress code is?
Jen, would you like to come to the podium and share what the dress code is? Oh, I thought she was coughing. Like, no, I'd prefer.
No.
It was just the chair. Oh, what I said was that as the spring weather approaches, we ask that families support us with the dress code because it's very challenging for staff. And Rick asked, could you share the parameters for the dress code?
Yeah, so it's pretty standard in terms of schools around the state. And really, it's just to make sure that you're not wearing anything that's too revealing. And this goes for any student, regardless of how they identify or what they choose to wear. And to make sure there's nothing also that has any visuals on it that have to do with drugs or alcohol. So it's not just, visibly what a person's wearing in terms of cuts or what have you, but also just the nature of some of what they might be wearing. So, we've had a relatively better success the past year and a half. It's been pretty good at the high school, I can say, just speaking for that. But I'm happy to send out a friendly reminder in my weekly newsletter. It's a great little message I can weave into that. Makes a lot of sense. And I can link the student handbook, which outlines, more specifics of the policy. And again, I mean, we're not out there with rulers and tape measures, but it's like, hey, make sure you're just mindful of, presentation. I really kind of make it and phrase it about that, how you're presenting yourself and time and place to wear different types of things. So,
Thank you.
all right, you're welcome.
Well, if you remind me, we'll have Mr. Malila send it out as well.
Sure. Yeah. I
Assistant
can
for the two
connect with Matt.
buildings. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks, Jen.
Welcome.
All right, we'll go on to first public comment. And since there is
Bueller.
0 here, we'll move right on. Okay, program assurances, 23-24.
I can start this off while Christine is walking to the podium.
Perfect.
This is a form that we approve each and every year. And a lot of the information here is memorialized in the school board policies that surround federal grants.
So as Matt mentioned, this is the annual program assurances with the NHDOE. So every year we're asked to fill out program assurances to make sure we're complying with all the state and federal guidelines around our grants. So looking at our grants, we do receive Title 1A, which is improving basic program operations. So it's for students that really don't fit the special ed umbrella, but they still are struggling to maintain scores and averages in classes. So it's a place to kind of get them that intervention that they need in either math or reading. We also receive Title II Part A, and that's really supporting effective instruction. So that grant is really allocated for teachers and administrators for professional development opportunities. And then we also receive Title 4A, and that's student support, academic enrichment type grants, but that's really around well-rounded, either tech or student safety. And then there's allocation amounts within that. There's only certain percentages. So our 4A right now is being used for students for dual enrollment. So courses at NECO, paying some of the courses, also getting some of the textbooks that they may need for those college courses. So we're looking for the board's permission to sign these documents. So they'll be uploaded to the state and also on our grant management system page.
Could I just also note, just particularly for Michael and Jeremiah as new members, I get the state audits these grants and I receive a report. And so whenever I get one of these little reports from the DOE, I very anxiously open it and scroll down to the bottom to find out. Almost every time it's 100% compliance. And it's really a hard job. So when we think about Christine's role at the central office as the Director of Teaching and Learning, it really should say the Director of Teaching and Learning and a lot of grant compliance. Right? So it's a big part of her job, making sure that this is done right. And I think it gets overlooked because it's done so well. Right? It's
Thank
not
you.
just the strategic plan or the teaching and learning plans or the curriculum alignment and all the professional development that Christine handles. She also handles a big piece of this money. Okay.
Thank you.
So
Yes,
thank you,
Amy.
Christine.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So a couple of questions.
Okay, hope you have any
Yeah.
answers.
We have a few of them marked as not participating. That because we didn't receive a grant of that this past year, or for some reason we're not eligible to participate?
So it's a bit of both. We don't receive it because we are not eligible. So that is correct. We're not eligible based on several factors. One of the biggest factors is actually our free and reduced lunch numbers. A lot of our grants and the funds that are attached to those grants are actually due to the percentage that we receive for free and reduced amounts, especially Title I. So our funds this year were based on the 6% rate that we have for free and reduced numbers.
For like Title III Part A, we're just not eligible for that?
We are not eligible for that because that has to do with students who speak their second language is English.
Okay.
So we would need an X amount of population to have that. So places like Manchester would be a district that would receive a lot of Title IIIA funds.
Okay.
That's a good question, though.
you.
Because I had to double check that myself just to make sure we were getting the funds that we needed.
Yeah, I see some no's and I'm like, is that a money box? Is that?
Yes, and it's very restrictive. A lot of our grants, as you can see here, like going through the grant assurances that Matt uploaded to your drive, there's pages and pages, and all of Section A just refers to Title I. And how we have to, the difference between how we can supplement things versus supplanting information, how we collect our data, what can be used, because as a district, we have an ads needs basis for Title I versus a full district Title I. So Derry, for example, is a full district Title I. So their allocation is over $1 million, where ours is nothing close to that. And our grants every year seem to be shrinking. So if parents would fill out the free and reduced and get the numbers where they really truly need to be, would be extremely helpful. So we could receive the funding and get the students and staff the support that they need.
We just discussed that in the finance.
Oh.
We really need to reinforce with parents the importance of filling out that paperwork, because what we had discussed is it's likely that a lot of them have just dispensed with that because there's been 2 years of free lunches. So why go through the extra effort? That's not the case anymore. If you're not filling that out, that's directly impacting the funds available to teach the kids, and it's directly impacting your taxes.
Correct. And you're correct, Jamie. Those allocations are really directly determined by that, as long as, and also actually including the IDEA grants. So the grants through special education that Troy manages. So all of those things, all those factors really play into what our allocation is. And because we no longer have the free lunches with COVID, we're going to start to see that readjust itself. Any other questions?
So are we making a motion to accept the program assurances? Is that the correct language?
Or, yeah, or approve it.
Approve,
Okay,
yeah.
approve it. So I make a motion to approve the program assurances for 2023, 2024.
Second. All right, if there's no further discussion, we'll move to vote. Rick,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jeremiah,
Yes.
Maura? Yes. Jamie?
Aye.
Micah?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Great, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Christine.
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 Okay, purchase of technology from Facilities Use Fund. So we have a few items here.
Gordon was busy.
Gordon's very busy.
Can I do a Jamie bullet note 1, bullet note 2? So where do we want to start?
Old, we need to replace it. Is that the bullet point?
Could we start with the current balance of the facilities use fund?
Mhm.
Let's see. Hold on. It's gonna take me a second.
That was a question of mine.
If only my
Yeah, I think it was 201. You say 12?
Well, maybe if we didn't ask Jamie to do bullet points, we would know that.
There you go.
Right.
Wow. Really is your son.
Okay, so as of the end of February, there's $203,798.
So it's more than that now because we've had March and April.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I guess I will start with the servers. A little background with the servers. So these two proposed here, they are standalone servers. So the district has 4 total standalone servers. So what that means is they basically a physical box that does, one purpose. So we have 3 camera servers and a backup server. And then the rest of the servers are virtual, which we have in the CIP plan to at some point get that replaced as well. So these 2 here are standalone servers. So I can start with the backup one. This particular server is 11 years old. I don't know exactly how long it's been in place. These were one of the servers that were given to us by Chief Briggs, which were surplus from the state, I believe it was. But they are 11 years old. Right now, they're unable to support the current OS from Microsoft, which is a security issue. And what comes with that, along with that, is it doesn't allow us to upgrade to like the recent release of our backup software. So we don't get any new features, any security patches, anything like that, because they stopped supporting that OS. So I am looking to replace that server at a cost of $9,060.21. And then on top of, how I have it spec'd out is to basically have hardware already in place so that when we upgrade the main server infrastructure, it can communicate and connect with it at the best speeds to back up that system.
And that was one of the 2 servers.
That was one of the 2.
You want to do both at the same time? Can you talk about?
I have a question.
Sure.
You said the server was from Chief Briggs from the surplus from the state. Was that part of the, if I remember, just for clarity, was that part of the refurbished equipment that we had received?
I don't believe they were refurbished. I believe we'd gotten like 12, 13 of these things. They were brand new. They were very bare bone, minimal specs.
Okay.
So the fact that they're still running is a miracle on its own. But I believe that they were technically brand new.
Okay, thanks, Gordon.
You want me to
Yeah.
go
keep
to the
going.
other one?
Yep.
Okay. So the camera server, so this is for the high school, middle school. And I just want to add a little side note that the Memorial and Bakey servers are the same as the backup server, same servers. So even though those were just done within the last 2 years, we saved some money by putting in those older servers for now until we can actually replace them with a newer server. So this particular one is actually a server by the vendor of the security software. Right now we're having issues, hardware issues. The server seems to want to go through about a 3-hour time span of rebooting every 10 minutes. So unfortunately that is happening during the school day, which means every time it's rebooting, we're losing about a 10-minute gap of footage. And then 5 minutes later, we're losing a 10-minute gap of footage for about 3 hours. So it is a pretty big issue. So part of this proposal is for a server that is $8,274.83. And then on top of that, I would like to migrate the cameras to the same systems we have at Bakey and Memorial, which allow us to give police access to it directly off their phone, and gives us, basically the latest, update of that software. Currently, what we're running, we're unable to update it due to server specs and licensing. So in order to stay with what we are currently staying with on a new server is going to cost probably more than what it is to migrate to the same system as Bakey and Memorial. But this will allow us to be all three systems available for police, admin, right off their phone. And the cost of the licensing is $9,265. And that includes the labor to get everything switched over.
Is that annual or is that one-time?
One-time
cost?
cost.
Okay, what's the maintenance on that annually? For any of those things? That's just in-house, right?
Yep,
I just want
Yep.
the public to hear that.
yep, everything in-house. I believe the server was 5-year next day for hardware support.
Gordon, when you say access, police access, I just want to be clear. So in the event of any type of emergency, that would be lifetime access from outside of the building?
Correct. So right now we have Officer OJ at Memorial has access to both Bakey and Memorial. So when he's in the office, he has a screen up and he can see, both systems. He'd have to switch between the two, but he can view both systems and then he could pull up his phone, go to whichever system and have access to all the cameras live right there.
So let me just, one further question, just so I understand. So if there was an emergency within the high school, the Kingston and or Newton Police Department could be outside of the high school building and see live time, the cameras, correct?
With this, yes. Currently, they would have to be on a VPN or on our network.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Yep,
Can I ask a question to that?
sure.
But weren't you also saying that like every 10 minutes or something, we're losing footage? So
Right.
there could potentially be an emergency situation where we're in a 10-minute reboot or something?
Right. And we have had a situation, I don't recall what it was, but that kind of brought the attention to me was,
Right.
just this random gap. They were trying to look at a specific time, couldn't find it. So I went on the server. All of a sudden I got kicked off. I'm like, that was weird. Started watching it. And it was like literally every 10 minutes, just kept getting kicked off.
It was a very tense situation.
I mean,
where
that to
somebody-
me seems like the bigger,
It's both. Yeah.
but that seems like a very big problem if we can't actually.
We had a situation where a parent was being belligerent to Miss Mitchison and the video would have made a big difference. And we couldn't see the video.
Yeah, and one other thing to point out too is a lot of the cameras that we have in place aren't technically supported by the software we're using now. They may work, but they're not officially supported. So what ends up happening is, I'll get a call that, we have 5 cameras down at the high school and they're not down. I literally have to go to the server, put in the same password that I put in every time to let them reestablish connection to the camera server, and then they're fine. So it makes it look like it's a hardware issue on the camera side, but in reality, it's the camera stopped talking to the server, requiring authentication manually to get it back online.
So I would ask that the board motion to approve these first, these are safety related.
Mhm.
I would like the board to approve 7.21.1 and 7.2.1.2 first, and then go to the next item.
Mhm.
Right?
I have one
don't
more
wanna do this
question.
as a group. Yeah.
So Gordon, given the accessibility from law enforcement on the outside, I'm assuming this also comes with the appropriate encryption and security, that's not jumped on by anybody else that then has access to privacy related things with children in the schools.
Yeah, so accessing online requires you can access it 2 ways, one through an app on your phone or straight off the web. The only way you can access the camera system is if you create an account and then we assign it to the camera server. I believe 2-factor is also enabled. So, in order to, if it's like, if I pull up my phone right now and you knew my passcode, you could get right on it. I'm not logging in every time, it's staying saved. But as for like somebody's password leaking, anything like that, it would require more than just a user and password.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Anything else?
Two.
Yeah, that was.
Can I make a motion to approve 7.211, 7.212, and 7.22?
Second.
Oh, no, 7.22
wrong?
isn't there yet. Sorry.
Oh, 7.2.1, 721.1, 721.2.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Her motion. I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Rick,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jeremiah,
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
Jamie,
Aye.
Micah,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. What was next?
Chromebooks.
Chromebooks. So annual Chromebook purchase. Last year, we purchased 220, looking to do the same amount. About 130 to 140 of them go to the incoming freshmen. Every year, incoming freshmen get brand new devices. And then the point of the additional devices is to start rotating out of like a classroom a year, basically. So this is something that I'm going to be looking to do yearly. What happens with these devices is Google sets a support date for security software and updating the Chromebooks. They make it very difficult because, you know, it's really not that long a time. Right now, we have a model that is Dell 3100, and the end of life is June of 2027. So we have 4 more years with those devices. The problem is that's what we have across the whole district. So in 4 years, every Chromebook that we're using is no longer going to be, you know, up to date and be able to get security patches. So the goal is to start rotating some of these out with the new 3110 model, which has a end of life date of 2030. And we basically only have to worry about 3rd grade through 8th grade because the freshmen get a model that'll last them at least 4 years through the support. So the total cost with Google licensing is $58,201. However, I did get an email from my vendor today. Might have been some mix up with the licensing, so there's a chance it could be 53,000. So it's max 58,000, chance it could be 53,000.
And again,
So I'm sorry, I heard you say it's 53,000, correct?
Hopefully, I mean, otherwise, then we can't manage them and the kids will be able to access anything they want.
That's a way to put it.
the source of funds would be from the facility use revolving fund.
Thank you.
So I just did the math. So we have $203,798. If we approve all of these items, it will be $151,647.54. And that'll only leave about 50,000 left.
Mhm.
Do you have other anticipated funds? Because we're not going to have other money.
Well, we will, because the revenue from the SLC rental goes into that account.
Okay.
is
So
that?
that's about 140,000 a year.
Do we have any money from the, and I forget what we called the fund? Wasn't there like a insurance fund for these devices that we're gonna potentially use some funds?
Yeah, we have very little in that. It wasn't too popular to start this year, but we have been a lot better with charging for damaged devices. So I'm hoping that next year families, you know, think back to the cost that they paid this year to fix a keyboard and will opt into it next year to, you know, allow us to build that up a little bit.
I will say there's not a lot of information on that. Like,
Yeah.
as a parent, like, I
Yeah,
know.
I will be updating it a lot better this summer.
Okay, because as a board member, I know it exists, but I haven't received anything to purchase it.
So the principals could do a better job of promoting that through the newsletters and conversations.
Yep,
It
and I
probably
do,
Should be well known, though, that it doesn't cover.
Intentional
kids-
destruction.
yeah, I mean, it's
As someone who
early.
Paid for a couple Chromebooks that wouldn't have. I just want to be transparent with parents that it doesn't cover that. So if you think you're gonna get this and it's gonna protect you when your kid smashes it, that it
Right.
doesn't.
It's-
That's all. That's all I'm saying.
It's like, it's an accidental and we kind of base it off of, you know, if somebody comes to us and says, my keyboard isn't working, and then we look at the keyboard and there's 12 keys picked off, it's all colored on. Well, you did that, you know, and that's the type of stuff that we try not to cover, because then it's just going to continue to, you
Right.
know, happen.
Right.
So it's purely for an accidental standpoint, you know, any thing that just stops working, you know, if a motherboard fries on it, you know, we're not gonna, there's no control over that. It's strictly, you know, damage versus accidental.
Yeah.
And then one other thing I wanted to add with, you know, the 3100 model that we're in, you know, we ran into the same situation, the past 2 years, that we were lucky enough to get money from COVID grants to be able to replace a lot of this stuff. But essentially, the entire fleet of district Chromebooks were kind of bought in 2 periods, you know, well before I was here. So the goal of this is to kind of stop the massive purchase of having to purchase 600 Chromebooks and purchase the incoming freshman and then additional, you know, grade per year, so that it's just a constant cycle every year of devices.
I do just want, I'm sorry, I just want to remind the board and the public that when we had our budget debate, Gordon asked us for approximately $250,000 for technology like this. We had a long conversation and agreed that for this year and possibly next year, that we would use the facilities revolving fund instead of adding to the budget, because the increase was so significant this year in the budget. So he's doing what we as a team asked him to do. We knew that we had this revenue from renting the SLC to offset the cost. So it is important to know, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because it really has to go in the budget eventually. We can't run a school district without an annual technology budget that replenishes. But because we rented the SLC and we've been so successful with that, we felt like that would be a benefit to the community to keep the budget from going up this year more than it did. I mean, it already went up 3.8%, but we started out at over 8%
Mhm.
when we made our initial request as a team. And we all sat in a room and looked at each other and said, that isn't going to work. So I just want everyone to see how hard Matt and the administrative team is working to manage the finances with what we have in-house. It won't last forever. There has to be a point where the technology budget goes up. It just can't stay this low.
Amy?
So to Heather's points, based upon the numbers Matt just gave us in the February, that's 75% would go. If we have a similar process next year with what comes in plus this extra, you're going to be 85, 90% of that account.
Mhm.
And so this becomes a technology revolving fund, right? Use revolving fund, which it's allowed to be used for technology, but it's not there for anything else. So I agree that we have to get this. My concern is, and I'll oppose the Chromebooks and the laptops, and not because I don't think some of them need to be updated. And I talked to Gordon about this previously, because I don't want to think I was bushwhacking. But I really want to see data sets that are more meaningful to me as to the aging of the equipment. We've got asset tags on these, but the way that Gordon breaks the information out in the spreadsheets that he provides, he talks about, well, for example, at Bakey School, I have some that are between 1 and 8 years old. As a board member, that doesn't help me make a decision. A 1-year-old, I clearly don't need to replace. An 8-year-old, I probably do need to replace. So what I want to see is an aging chart. And I had mentioned this last year too. We should be able to say, I have X number that are 1-year-old, X number 2, X number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that we can then look at a Pareto and say, what are we going to do? And structure that and build that into the technology, build that into the CIP plan. So it says, this is what the technology costs are going to be. And I just haven't seen that data yet to allow me to support this. So I'm not saying we don't need some updates. I'm just saying I don't understand the data sets strong enough for me to be able to support the spending.
And I just wanna, I know we need this stuff too, but to Jamie's point, we did ask for all of that information prior to having this discussion now. I don't think we were clear on when we wanted the information by, but we were clear that before we talked about, the last time we had this conversation, we said, before we have this next conversation about Chromebooks, laptops, technology, we need to know, what do we have, exactly how old it is, so we can make educated decisions when we're purchasing moving forward. So I think, we have to do something right now, but moving forward, I think we have to have more clear data, because I saw the data sets too. And it doesn't tell me anything to
And
like,
I did update it. I did some homework before the meeting, so I do have some numbers for you, Jamie.
okay.
Oh, good.
Can you
thank
share those?
Yeah.
That would be.
So
super
they're
helpful.
related to laptops though. So do we want to wait till we get to the laptop?
Yeah, can I ask a question about the Chromebooks?
Yeah.
Just 'cause I heard two conversations and the laptops are different than the Chromebooks because they're
Right.
feature devices.
Mhm.
And what I heard Gordon say, and I just want to make sure that I heard the correct information. There are a group of seniors, about 140 of them roughly, graduating, and their devices are 4 years old, end of life. And this 58,000 replenishes those computers, buys devices for the incoming freshmen.
Partially, yeah.
Partially. And then there's another group of computers in this 58,000 or 53, to quote Rick. This proposal for the Chromebooks to me is about, you're saying, yes, there's a lot of different age Chromebooks down in the lower levels. And instead of asking for hundreds of Chromebooks at one time, you're saying, let's buy one grade level now. You disperse those Chromebooks to that grade level, then you take any devices that were left that are still usable and redistribute them for this year, do it again next year, and you grow it over time.
Correct. And the problem with Chromebooks is when they release a Chromebook, they set out a date. We're going to support it until this date. So it's not like a laptop, like some of our, 8-year-old laptops that we can still run Windows 11 on, that Windows, can support. Sometimes there's, little hiccups with it, but Chromebook's just like, hey, you just bought a brand new Chromebook on this day. You're not getting any more updates.
Yep.
So what's tough in a situation like that is they don't put out models every year. So then you're buying, for 2 or 3 years, the same model. So say year one, so this year I've got the 3110s in there. They're good till 2030. I believe that's what
Mhm.
2030.
Which is a
So
lot
next
better than
year,
4 years.
right. But next year, there might not be a new model. So now we're buying Chromebooks for the incoming freshmen in another grade, but they're still at 2030. So you've lost a year. So it's it's incredibly difficult to set these in some sort of rotation that's going to work and not have waste, because it's either going to be, well, let's not upgrade them at all. Let's just get the freshmen their Chromebooks and let them all go out till 2017. And then that year, hey, I need 600, 700 Chromebooks to replace all the classrooms. So it's which way do we go type ordeal.
What happens do you buy how many for the freshmen?
So it's based off enrollment, typically like 130, 140. I give the
What happens
library.
to those Chromebooks when they graduate?
So most of them buy them out. I don't know the exact cost, but it's pretty cheap because they're pretty beat up by the time they
Okay.
Not
they
a lot.
graduate. So I would say probably like 80% of them get bought out, and then depending on their condition, they're just scrap for parts.
So what
we
happens to
do-
that money?
What's that?
What happens to that money?
I think it just goes back to the general fund, right?
Well,
Yeah.
shouldn't that go to a technology fund then if they're?
No, because I don't have authorization from the taxpayers to reserve that for a specific purpose.
Then we should.
We could.
Okay.
If
Go-
we get back for it, we should use that to reinvest.
And that's,
Gordon,
yep.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish your thought.
I was going to say, and that's kind of the same thing with, the student breaks a screen and they pay $40 or whatever it is to get it replaced. I don't get that money back in my budget. It goes back to the general fund for that reason. So it's either,
We have to fix
We
that.
so it's either to
Be able to fund it.
get whatever needs to be done so that money can be reinvest, or I budget what I think we're going to use for replacement costs and add that to the budget every year so that it kind of offsets.
Does that has to go to the voters next March in a warrant article, correct?
Yes.
We will set up a warrant article for March.
Please do.
That's one. I mean, another thought is if some of them are good for 4 years, yeah, we don't want these anyway after a freshman becomes a senior with these, right? But if there's some that are good for 8 and somebody gets it as a freshman, it's still got 4 years left of life. Is that something that we want to consider?
Right,
reusing?
so I believe
wipe it
this
and-
year's seniors are the first group with the 3110 model. So they still have, an additional 4 years with that. So we may up that typical price. I need to evaluate what they charge for it, but we may up that price because of the length of life they still have. So that maybe we can get some more back as well.
Gordon, are you currently using like in my mind, when I hear this, we utilize like a fixed asset register, right? So what is the asset? What did you buy it for? What's the depreciation value? What's the life cycle? Because we have an IT department, but I'm in charge of the laptops. Well, I have a fixed asset register for the laptops of the employees within my division. So if I have somebody who terms, I get their laptop back. I know how long it's under warranty for. I know if I need to order a new one or if I just need to get it repurposed. So I guess to Jamie's point, it sounds like that's what we need. And maybe you have something like that already.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the tough part is dealing with all the equipment prior to me being here. So like a lot of the stuff that I've purchased, I kind of, know I could probably do better with, documenting it. It's more in my head. As for like any inventory and stuff like that, we do asset tag and inventory all the equipment in a Access database. So we do have access to, all of that. We try to at least keep up on, all the new stuff being added. So every Chromebook that comes in is added in there. Our struggle is, when we're recycling a whole bunch of equipment, not getting it all out of the inventory as, no longer, in the district,
Yeah. I think I know it's not something you can answer today, but I think that might help solve a lot of the questions that are being asked today of you. You know what I mean? It would be an undertaking, but I think it would really help you sort of get a better gauge on where everything is. I'd be more than willing to help out too, if I can help in any way.
Appreciate that.
Could we maybe table this?
No, we have to order the computers because they have to come in time to be set up. So this is a time sensitive issue.
And so we don't meet again for another,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
month or something.
May 9th.
And I have a question here too. Sorry, Don, were you done?
Nope, you're
Okay.
good.
We're operating on a premise that I'm not convinced that I have been convinced of. And that is that everybody from third graders on needs an individual Chromebook. Do I think high schoolers, middle schoolers? I do. Yeah, I think that's important. The work culture, education that we're going into, things like that. Third graders, we're convinced that what data exists that says every fourth grader should have a Chromebook. What I hear is the young kids are actually tired of being on Chromebooks, but yet we're operating on a premise that we have to purchase every child from third grade on a Chromebook. So I guess I'm putting that back to, is that a faulty assumption that we're working on? Is that just, hey, it's what we've always done. It's what we started doing since COVID. How do we arrive here?
Well, we arrived here before I got here.
Yep.
So we've never had an open discussion about that topic.
Yeah.
And that's I'm happy to talk about that because there's a legitimate conversation and it's a complicated conversation. So
Great.
in order to do that, we would need to schedule a time to have that conversation, have a process, have the principals and teachers involved, really go through what our programming looks like. What does the math program require online?
Sure.
What will the new reading program require online? What are the components and the variables that this would all affect? It's way bigger than what we could do. It's a great question. We've never discussed it.
Right.
It's the way it's been for at least 10 years.
Right.
What I heard is an immediate need because of graduating seniors.
Well, absolutely. But we also do have an educational system that currently functions with students having computers from grades 3 through 12. And I'm certainly open to having that
I
conversation.
mean, I have a 15-year-old. He did not have a Chromebook until he hit 6th grade.
Okay.
Like this is this is directly of
Well, didn't they have iPads though before?
they had classroom iPads, but
Right.
my kid did not have his own
Okay.
iPad or
Yeah.
Chromebook.
And I mean, my kids are in the thick of it right now, right?
Yeah.
3rd grade, 5th grade.
Yep.
And, just having gone through, and the third grader doesn't, that Chromebook hasn't been dispersed or come home yet, but he's looking, we can't wait to get it or whatever. But my daughter throughout fourth grade and fifth grade, obviously it was frequently used during COVID for all those reasons. I think that the question is a good one, not only because the question is, do they need them, or how important is this? Or is this the right kind of learning in a philosophical sense? But also, I don't know, at least at home, she's not on it that much. There's a lot of paper that comes home, which I like philosophically. But so I don't know what's going on as much in the classroom in terms of the curricular activities. But the question is, not only one philosophically, but practically, how much is it actually being used at that stage?
Right.
And how much,
And
of it if it's not used,
Right.
all
Does
that
that
amount.
change the,
It could change the
longevity.
longevity of it.
right?
And I think they can use iPads, right, for these extra, like these extra courses and stuff, like the reading courses, they can log. I mean, most homes have an iPad that, they can use, but I do think there's an immediate need for the seniors, right, to take care of those. This is a great discussion. I think we should definitely have it, but I still think we need to do something about the incoming, incoming group and the outgoing seniors.
Matt,
I just want to point out that the lower grades, like third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, they generally don't bring home their Chromebooks. We have these big charging stations where at the end of the day, they put them in the charging station to be charged overnight for the next day.
Yeah, I mean,
So that may
that's to
explain
your-
why you haven't seen one.
Well, and to your point, when it does come home, it's for a specific assignment or something that needs to be done in a Google sheet or something, or,
Well, there's so many variables that have to be discussed with this.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, it's a
So,
huge discussion.
so that it's a huge discussion because it's, hey, JJ, how are you?
Good.
It's a discussion about, I would have to have Christine research like how much of the testing is done one-to-one for state testing. Local NWEA testing. It's kind of like when people ask me what's most important now in education, I begrudgingly say that if you want to see a group of furious teachers, shut off the photocopier and the internet. There was a time just 10 or 15 years ago where the internet wasn't even, it wasn't that important, but it's not optional anymore, right? These things aren't, and I don't like this, right? I don't like that it's not optional, but I think we need to be careful about, thanks, Christine. They do all the testing via Chromebooks, the state and NWEA and the SATs. So you could have a cart, there might be times, I mean, I've worked in a district where we had to shuttle all the laptops down to the elementary school, do the testing and then ship them back. I mean, just be careful is all that I'm saying, that our system runs a certain way. I do not encourage you to change that without having a deliberate process and a deep conversation with a number of participants.
I think the question is more, how much are they being used? What is the life expectancy of them? We're just looking for more information so we can make an educated decision. So when the voters come to us and say, hey, why did you spend $58,000? We can justify that expense.
Well, I think Gordon's saying that he is trying to avoid the taxpayers having to buy hundreds of computers at once by rotating them out when they're end of life.
Right.
Right.
Well, we don't have a clear end of life with all due respect. I'm not hearing that.
Okay.
Well, we do. I mean, the end of life on the current model is 2027.
Okay.
The newest model that is in this quote is 2030. And that's a fixed date by Google to basically, when they're going to stop supporting that device.
And I'm sorry, this is my ignorance on the subject. What does that mean exactly, that they stop supporting it?
So what happens on our end is we're unable to manage it. And then it's unable to, I don't know what you use for a web browser, but every, at least once a week, Google Chrome's got an update for the browser, and Chromebooks run basically off that browser.
Mhm.
All those updates stop. So if there's a huge security hole where, somebody's able to exploit something in Google Chrome, none of those Chromebooks after the end of life date get that update to stop that from happening. So there are security risks within the district. We don't want
Right.
anybody getting into any Chromebook, especially, we do have paras using Chromebooks. So there might be, sensitive data right there that, if they're not getting updates, could cause a security issue.
So Gordon, how many devices are you asking for here? You're asking for 140 Chromebooks
220.
220 total.
grade, and then you're looking for another 100 to support the, okay, 220 at the bottom. So you're looking for another 90 or 80 for the lower grades.
Correct.
But those wouldn't go to one grade. They would go to offset future costs when we get to that 2027.
The goal is to,
Question.
yeah, the goal is eventually to try and do a grade a year. Because they're all the same model, there's really no point in, like laptops, we'll get new laptops and be like, all right, who has the oldest laptop? We
Right.
change them out. With the Chromebooks, it's based off of the end of life date. And right now, every Chromebook in the district has the same end of life date.
So theoretically, we could purchase 140 of these today.
Correct.
And then we could buy the other, that's what Dawn's point was get more information, buy another group even in the fall, and then implement them.
Yeah, I mean,
Pressing
there's
need is the high school freshman. is
correct.
what-
There is zero rush for the other grades.
Okay.
My problem is trying to figure out this balance of end of life and devices that we still have that are 4 years good. How do we handle this? So it's not, hey, I need 600 new devices one year. I just don't know how to handle that. And I'm open to suggestions on how to handle it, but this was my thought process of let's just replace a grade a year.
Did that help, Rick?
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, that's my understanding is we have an immediate need and a need that isn't very clear right now.
And I, to be clear, I'm not opposed to the immediate need, Gordon. I clearly see that. I clearly understand that, and I'm willing to support that.
Mhm.
I parse this out as an immediate need and a latent need that we don't yet have enough information on to say, this is something that we want to do from here going forward. So
Mhm.
I don't want Gordon to be operating on a false premise as he looks at a life cycle process to say, hey, we need to get these third graders brand new, tablets over the next X amount of years. When is that really what we need? Right. And so I guess the question is, can we parse this out and say, here's the immediate need, and then academically we can do some research, and I'm sure that would be you, Tom, who would do that research to say, hey, this is something that we want to move forward with, and third graders absolutely 100% have to present that, and then we'll make that decision from
Yeah,
there.
or more, the way I handle things is I would meet with teachers,
Sure,
meet with Christine, have some focus groups, have some conversations,
sure.
look at some research, and then present it's never black and white, like, yes, we should have computers in third grade.
Right.
Or, no, we shouldn't. Or
Totally
it's-
understand.
There's always this complex, now with the way the world is, the internet is just a part of our lives. It is complicated. So I just like to move very carefully, and really, truly, I value and support our teachers, and I would like their input before we make a decision so that they're telling us what their day-to-day experience on the front line is in the new modern world.
So
You know,
I
great.
make a motion to purchase 140 laptops,
Chromebooks.
Chromebooks for the incoming freshmen. We will come back as a board about what we need for further technology needs.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Rick,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jeremiah,
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
Amy, myself, yes, Micah.
Yes.
Thanks. And let's have that conversation so that we are clear about moving forward, because
Yeah,
I would like that very much.
It's important, I think, to note too, that it's not like, the necessarily an inherent tension between they should have computers or they shouldn't have computers. It's almost to your point, the world is changing fast.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a given probably that computers are going to be a necessity at these early, right? But then it's a question of like, let's talk about what we want, what we envision learning to look like, given the fact that these computers are here, right? So it's a question of, it's not a question of computers or no computers, but a question of the degree of reliance
Mhm.
or what kind of skills are being paired, right? There's all those kinds of
Yeah.
of questions, right? So we'll be thoughtful about it.
Mm.
The younger you can get technology into classrooms, the better off the kids are going to be, because I see kids in my grade that since we didn't when I was in fifth grade, everything was still handwritten. I see kids that barely know how to work Chrome, nonetheless Chromebooks. So the younger you can get kids to be engaged with technology, the better off they're going to be for this new world we're discussing.
I would just point out that I see on a daily basis, kids so involved in technology, they can't interact with anybody.
Yeah.
So there's a,
There's
there's a balance here.
yeah. Yep.
There's a balance.
Okay. JJ, since you are here, we will, if no one is opposed, switch back real. Gordon, do you mind if we just let him do his,
Not at all.
Find out about that ball game.
yes,
Give you a break, Gordon.
What happened?
his little report?
And grab some pizza before you leave. You're probably hungry.
See. So first off, I'd like to give a massive congratulations to the newly inducted members of the National Honor Society. We did our induction for the juniors this past Monday. Abby Ali Violet, Aubrey Harriman, Caitlin Bobstein, Ellery Dean, Gwen Libby, Hannah Ali Violet, Kate Booten, Nicole Kuna, Sarah Bufano, Sydney O'Toole, Tessa Donigan, Lucas Youssef, Rebecca Trudeau, and Anna D'Amato. Again, massive congratulations to them. They put a lot of hard work into their applications. There's going to be a clothing drive for Tiffany's Closet after school on Monday, April 17th during the baseball and softball games. The donation bins will be over down there by the sports field so spectators can watch the games, support our teams, and help a great cause. All different types of donations are welcome. So shoes, clothing, all that kind of stuff it's all going to a great place. Over $1,000 was raised for the Dana-Farber Fight Against Cancer Jimmy Fund by Student Council and Ms. Bovair on Red Sox opening day, which was, I think, the 31st of March, something like that. And that's a record high, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've ever seen us get that much. So it was really impressive. It was a great job by the community, teachers and students alike who donated. And the senior class is hosting a fundraiser at the Sea Dog Restaurant in Exeter from 4 to 9 p.m. on May 5th. There's no code required, and come and support the seniors.
Thank you. All right, Gordon, back to you. He doesn't want to come back up to the book.
He's doing great.
Okay, two more things. So staff laptops, I'm looking to purchase 50 laptops. Last year we purchased 50, and that was year one of my cycle that I'm trying to accomplish, basically 50 laptops a year for 6 years, so that they have a lifespan of 6 years. So basically on year 7, I would purchase 50 and replace the year 1 laptops there. That way they're on a cycle of 6 years. And basically we still have about 50 plus laptops that are over 7, 8 years old, that are used actively or used for things like our school board meeting is running off a 8-year-old laptop or 9-year-old laptop. So basically I'm looking to spend $58,441.50 on 50 new laptops, which are similar quality and series of the ones that we purchased last year. And that'll be, like I said, year 2 of my hopeful 6-year rotation.
So Gordon, Rick had a question about I believe it was Rick, and Rick, tell me if I got the wrong person, but the question is, in your proposal here, you say that you have 50 plus laptops that are over 7 to 8 years old.
Mhm.
How many more than 50? Do you have an actual number?
I do. So back to Jamie and my homework this afternoon. So we have a model that's 5450, which is our oldest model, and it's from 2014. So that's 9 years old. We have 34 of those that are like actively being used. If I check the system, they've been logged on within the last like week or two. We have 72 total still in the district, which are, laptops that, say, after this school board meeting, this laptop's going to be off for 4 weeks. That would report on this type of thing. So it's loaners that the library have, each library at each school, and other devices that might be used for any specialty software or anything like that. Then we have a model 5490, which is from 2018. We have 16 of those active and 20 total still in the district. Then we have a 5491 model, which is from the same year, 2018. We have 10 active, 10 total. And then we get into the 3410 model that we bought during COVID. We bought 150 of those. We only have 129 active and 130 total in the district. So we've lost 31 of those laptops. 31 or 21? 21.
When you say lost, you mean they've died?
They're just
Yeah.
scrap for parts and
I just didn't want anyone to think
And-
that we lost them.
right.
Just-
Thank you.
No,
I was like,
thank
where
you.
would They go.
I'm just thinking about things. Fake book has a life of its own.
Right.
So
And then last year's model, which is 5420, we purchased 50. We have 50 active, 50 total.
Can you
and-
repeat that, please?
All of it,
No, the 2022, I got. the-
2022, 50 active, 50 total.
Okay.
Can we send that data set around to the?
Yeah, yeah. Can you email that to the board?
And what was the
Yeah.
model number for the ones you bought last year?
5420,
Thank you.
which is funny because I believe the model quoted is 5440, which was the model that we had a ton of back when we bought the 150 of them, and they're just basically rotating the same name again. So it's getting confusing on our end because the 5420s were a model that was in the district 10 years ago that, now when we do a search in something, we might find legacy data on a laptop.
that's where putting a QR code or a barcode on each so that we can read the tag.
Right, and each library does put their own tag on it and has a whole bunch of information. And then in our access database, we have an ASIC code and we can search on information based
Okay.
off of that.
So,
device.
so I'll ask the question again, just to make sure it's clear for the public. How many laptops are actually in use that are over 7 to 8 years?
2018 would make it 7, right? Yep. So we have active 50, total 92.
Wait, but 2018 would be 5 years, right? 18, 19.
Oh,
19.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
just the
Yeah,
two-
so 34 are active within the last couple weeks, 72 are in the district being used, at some point. I think I did my search based off of like
Is that
connectivity in the last 180 days or something like that
Okay.
when I pulled it up.
And you're asking for 50. What are we going to do about the other? Now I'm asking questions because I want, look, I'll say this at any point publicly. I got to have running water, heat, electricity, a reasonable building, and a computer for a teacher. It's 2023. And running an 8-year-old laptop, if you're a teacher, is not a good thing.
I have no objection for laptops for teachers. I think it's more, the previous conversation was more about what are we.
Thanks. I'm just saying I'm a little nervous that he's only asking for 50.
Well, I guess, and to that point, my question is, so if we only have 34 of the 72 active, is that because that's all we need? Or is that because that's all that works?
So that's just based off my search. That's just what's been active in the last couple weeks. So like each library will have, here's a little more, but like Baking Memorial probably have 4 or 5 laptops that sit in the library. So if a staff member's laptop breaks, they can go to the library, get a loaner. So those things don't turn on unless a staff breaks it. So 34 are active within the last couple weeks, where 72 have been active in the last like 180 days.
You feel that 50 is enough. You're the tech director. If you're
Yeah,
telling-
so total active devices that I pulled last 14 days is 239 devices, but total devices that have been online in the last 180 days is 282. So the goal with that is, the 50 every 6 years. I do also want to mention that because of lack of devices in the district, every para uses a Chromebook and not a Windows device. So they have issues with connecting to projectors. We had a big issue with Zoom, limited abilities within Zoom during COVID. Them using the Chromebooks, they weren't able to do all this stuff to show the kids. So I do want to note that we also have 51 Chromebooks that paras are using. So we can't even supply enough laptops to staff.
I have another question. So those 20 laptops that essentially died from the 2020 purchase, was there no warranty on them? Like,
Yeah, so
what happened?
to cut the cost, we went cheaper quality. We did no extended warranty. It was basically 1 year. Anything after that, we'll fix it. Well, the problem is this stuff we can't fix. You know, motherboards, we can't solder and, you know, figure out, diagnose the problem. So those are all just devices that have just died on us. So with the newer ones we've been buying, we've been doing 3-year pro support. So basically we send the laptop off or somebody comes here, they fix it, they come with the motherboard, they're on their way. So they're guaranteed for 3 years. They do have a 5-year option, but I think it goes up like $8,000 or something per 50. But yeah, so basically those ones are all just beyond repair.
So when Gordon and I talked earlier, you know, one of the questions I asked is, geez, there's $58,000 and there's 50 units. It's about 12 grand a piece or 1,200 a piece. I said, I can go down to Best Buy instead of Circuit City.
Yeah, Circuit City. Yeah, yeah.
I can go down to Best Buy and pick one up for 700. And Gordon said, yeah, but those don't last. And, you know, we had that experience. And then my point was, if we had all this registered properly in my mind in the Access database, you could look up the series, you could look up the history of it. Then you could present to the board and say, look, when I went on the cheap and I got it for $750, I only bought 3 years worth of use. When I paid the $1,200, I bought 7 years worth of use. That makes it very easy for a board member to say, I'm going with the 7 for the extra money up front. I'm buying double life. So that it's just important in my mind to make it a priority to put this data set together. So we have a usable set, and it'll get more and more robust when Gordon has the opportunity, when he gets new ones, to put the new ones in and have accurate data, but still to take whatever data we can as best he can and fill in the back end of that for the older units, like he started doing in some of the information he's getting us. But that type of information is very helpful. And then it's going to be helpful to him himself later on. He lays out the plan of, this is what my replacement plan is, and this is why the data supports this. And that makes it very easy for a board to say, yep, that's what data says, let's go.
Right. And to that point, like I said earlier, I have a hard time gathering information on a lot of stuff that was here prior to me. So 3 of these models were purchased before I was even here, where now this is the 3rd time I'm looking to purchase laptops, and I have, you know, 1 bad experience with those 150, and then, you know, so far good experience with the ones from last year. So, you know, over time, as I start doing things, then I can give better information where, you know, stuff even like the camera server here, I don't really know how long that's been in place. I know when it was manufactured, but does that mean that when we put it in place, it was 2 years later after it was manufactured? I don't know, because I didn't do it, you know? So now as we're doing stuff, I'm able to provide that information and, you know, be more accurate with it.
I think you're mine.
So we can get a clear picture of the whole site picture of the teachers. If every teacher had a new laptop, how many laptops would you need?
Including parents.
Yeah, see, the problem is, you know, my counts are based off everybody. So it's all admin, stuff like that. So I don't know what the exact count of teachers are. I want to say it's somewhere in like the 160 range, maybe. Thank you. 175-ish. And then paras, I don't know how many paras, but I have 51.
54.
Yeah. So I have 51 Chromebooks to paras right now. So about 225, 230.
Okay.
And then this count also doesn't count like Macs, Tom's Mac, and a few others in the district.
You fancy? I'm in
Like 4
support of
Chromebooks right
teachers
there.
I know,
having
right?
what they need to be able to teach. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the laptops for the staff. But I do agree with the rest of the board members. We need some more hard data and facts to be able to go forward so we can come up with a more reasonable plan in the future.
Yeah, and make sure we can get it in the budget process.
Yes.
So Gordon, I again will offer to help. I think I can really be valuable. It's gonna take work. You're gonna need teachers' help, and that you're not gonna be able to do this by the end of the school year, but when you do collect the equipment at the end of the school year, and as you're purchasing this new equipment, that's the exact time to start the fixed asset register, because again, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but all these questions you're asking, 3-year warranty, right? That's what we use here, at my corporation. And we know what laptops went in for service, how many broke down, what the issue was. Did the warranty actually pay for itself? Because to your point, if it's a motherboard and you don't have a warranty, you might as well just buy a new one, right? But if you have that warranty, you ship it back, boom, they fix it. But that, again, I'll help you set that up. But it's gonna take some work, to your point, you got equipment in there that you don't know. It's like starting like a rental service and collecting all your items and assigning a number to them and getting a fixed life for them. But you should start it now with the purchasing you're making.
I have some ideas to
Thank you.
help Gordon with staffing to get it up and running, and I'll talk to
Perfect.
him, okay?
Great.
Because you got to remember that his staff.
Make Excel spreadsheets.
Oh, thanks. Yay. But Gordon does, it's complicated because inventorying the hardware and what exists. The hardest thing for Gordon, I think, as he expressed, is to figure out things that existed prior to him. So I have some ideas to at least get a handle on it moving forward. And Rick, I'd love to see how that works and learn myself about what did you call it again? Asset inventory?
Fixed asset register.
A fixed asset register. I mean, it makes sense. And I think Jamie's right. If you could just plop the spreadsheet down and say, boom.
It'll give you all the data sets you want. Everything that everybody asked for today, we're using it. So, I mean, I can just show you an example.
Yeah, let's plan a time, Rick, for you and I to sit down with Matt and Gordon and talk about a way to get that done.
So
Yep.
and there was not a
Yes,
second.
we need a
and
second on that.
Second.
We kind of went straight to
Second?
discussion.
Thank you,
Great.
Micah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Micah.
All right, any further discussion?
That Micah?
It was
Yes.
Micah, yes.
Sorry about that. I had a little.
All right, if there's no further discussion, Rick,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jeremiah,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Jamie,
May.
Micah,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last. the
Last
projector.
one, almost there. I've got dance practice in 15 minutes.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's
Started
get
back up
I
2
think
weeks
you've been
ago.
Dancing lad for about half an hour.
Yeah, Gordon's character at the dance is
Shrek.
Woo.
Goody.
got little rubber ears for him and everything.
It's fitting.
Probably half an hour.
Oh, you're gonna be late. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
All right,
Okay.
let's go.
it's okay. So my last item here is for projectors. I'm looking to purchase 15 of them. And they are the same projectors that we purchased a couple years ago. And the price right now with the wireless dongles are $8,405. And basically what I'm looking to do is, we're at the point now where I don't think we have a single spare available. So when we purchased these 25 from a couple years ago, we replaced probably 15 or so immediately that were just like the oldest projectors we had in the district. Then we held on to the initial 10, and as things broke, we replaced them. Well, now we're at the point where if a projector breaks, we don't have anything to replace it with. And these are pretty much in every classroom in the district, and they are all pretty much used on a daily basis, all day long. So it's important to have spares and replacements available for these.
Would anyone have a problem if I worked with Matt on the budget to find the $8,405 instead of using the facilities revolving fund just to protect that fund?
I would have no problem.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. either.
I just recognize what Jamie said earlier.
Yeah.
$2,000 minus this is, it's $8,000. We might be able to, and if we can't, we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Oh, it was you.
So-
I'm
so then
sorry.
If we don't pull that out and with the money you save by not purchasing all 220 Chromebooks, it puts the dollar figure back in the revolving fund closer to $80,000 left
Yep.
from, 50-ish was what we were looking at before. That's helpful.
So I make a motion to approve the purchase with the projectors with the understanding the superintendent administrator will be finding the funds from another part of the budget.
I'm concerned how low 15
Can't be
is
Part of the, like,
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure I can. But
JJ.
it's,
JJ, she's gonna gavel you.
yeah,
She does.
JJ, you can't contribute when we're talking about spending money.
it's, okay.
I seconded it.
Did you second it? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we're at the point,
So we're gonna have, we still have the discussion, right?
yes, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I do. Have we ever looked into, actually putting televisions in the rooms instead of buying these projectors? You can connect any kind of a device to a TV
We,
and they last much longer.
So,
Right.
and not like a smart board, but a new smart TV.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They're half the price. They're probably cheaper than that. You can pick up a 55-inch for what? $400?
$100.
Probably last 7 years if the amount of use you're gonna use it. Like, that's what we use. We don't use projectors anymore.
Yeah.
So my only concern with that is connection to it. I mean, I guess they now all have smart connection to it, but the biggest problem we have in the district is not every projector is hardwired, through the ceiling, connected down for, a staff member to plug in from their desk to projector or wherever. So with the wireless, sometimes video isn't the greatest, if they're trying to show a video, it's pretty laggy. I mean, even on, these projectors with that wireless dongle, they're not the greatest at projecting wireless. So my only concern with TVs is then wiring and how that's all going to work for the staff to plug in if they got to show videos, anything like that.
In
Yeah,
theory,
so, I'm sorry, again.
I was just gonna say, if you, on a smart TV, it would just be online, right? Or you can't do that.
Right. And my biggest problem with that is if it's video, and then, any bandwidth, anything like that, might.
could we look into
No,
this?
no, no, I mean,
could.
what I mean is that the teacher wouldn't have to go from the laptop to the TV. It could just be accessed through the TV because it would be a smart TV directly. Like you just go to, if they
could
want to
get
show a YouTube
on the
video,
TV.
it's right
Yeah,
there.
that's true.
The
That's
app is
true.
built in
Yeah.
on a lot,
Right. No,
Get their
no, that
Google
makes
Drive
sense.
On their on the TV.
yeah.
Would
Yeah.
that
It's a
cause
TV
lag though, because the TVs are gonna be
on the network.
on the network all the time?
If everybody's showing videos off YouTube directly off the
Their
TV.
Chromebook
sure.
or laptop plus another device in the room that's pulling.
I think that's a
Right.
conversation worth looking into.
I do too. I do too.
But I don't know
love
if
it.
We
it's,
need more
I don't think it's pertinent
lot
to
more.
the vote at this time.
right this second.
I
Although
mean,
light-
we do need a lot of projectors. I mean, the high school is basically, they've got short throw projectors, so they're pretty much like right up against the wall,
They-
shoot the image up. Those things are awful. Right now, they got all these little bright lights all over them. They all need to be replaced.
How timely is this 8,400? Could you look into the smart TVs? And could you just give us a little bit of, this is,
Yeah.
those
my-
Chromebooks for the freshmen were like really what we were super nervous about.
Right.
We got to take care of.
Those are done.
One,
This
Yeah,
needs-
it might be time to pilot the program, right? Test a couple out, see how they work.
Right. And my only concern now is if we lose one, what do we do? So do we try to get 5 projectors for now? Or, I'm afraid of, we've got what, 2.5 more months of school?
Yeah.
If a projector dies, then it's sorry, you
Well-
can't
well,
project
that's
the rest of the
question
school
though, is if it costs, how much is it per projector? I'm sorry.
$1,000.
$1,000?
no.
560-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We could get in the neighborhood of 25 smart TVs for that same.
that's my point, is that if a projector goes down, maybe we pop in a smart TV and see how it goes.
Well,
Right.
one thing I do want to mention on this, as you investigate, this is full circle to what we were talking about, is I don't know what the screen size is of a projection. It's probably bigger than. what we
It's a
can-
typical, not like a size like this, but
yeah, but
a
typical-
classroom pull down. So I mean, a TV, I would think to
Close enough. yeah.
mimic that size would probably need to be 65, 70, to get close to the same size they're getting now.
I just want to think about for, any kind of compliance with, somebody, whoever's sitting in the back of the room, making sure that whatever TV we get is big enough so that they can adequately see whatever's on there.
Right.
If it's going to be like the.
And I think it's a problem now even with the projectors, but I think the teachers have gotten pretty good at zooming in,
Yeah.
it's a spreadsheet, anything like that, so that, somebody in the back.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, to this one, I think Rick's idea is a great idea. We should be looking into that, particularly in some of the smaller settings. But even if we go that route, you're going to need projectors in the interim. So I don't have an issue with getting 15 projectors,
Okay.
and then you can just work from that as you look into a transition, because there's still going to be instances where it doesn't work. I got a big class, I need a big
Too
screen.
far away.
And no one's going to be able to see that screen. And if I go to an 80-inch TV, I'm still got a smaller screen, and now I'm exceeding the cost of the projector.
Mhm.
So you're going to have some need for projectors anyways. If they're using them on a regular basis, if you're saying you got 0 on the shelf, you need something.
Right.
And you also have to
And-
think about the teachers when they're teaching. I mean, those screens go up. They have their space behind it to do whatever they need to, whether it's a whiteboard or whatnot. But if you're putting up a big, 70, 80-inch
Fixed.
screen, you're taking away their space to work and show students. So we have to really, I think about it thoroughly.
Or talk,
And-
again, it goes back to what I've said. The teachers, we
Yeah,
need to talk to
get their
them. We
feedback.
need to ask them what they think. We
They want.
should get one, ask someone to put it in their room and see how
Pilot
it
it.
goes. for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Have their friends look at it. Because if we buy it and we don't have buy-in, it won't get used.
Right.
So
I'm pretty excited that one question sparked all that conversation. That was great.
Tom wants to watch Star Wars, that's all.
So-
Hey,
Yeah.
And even, sorry. go ahead.
I would make a motion to purchase the 15.
You already did.
I already
Do we have a
did?
Yeah, you
second?
already
yeah,
Yeah.
we-
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
got,
So we're
sorry.
good. We're
We're in
good.
discussion now.
Great.
Yeah, discussion.
then we'll just get voted on.
All right. If there's
Can I
no
coach you.
further, all right,
Did that.
roll,
Yeah, now move them.
roll.
Waiting for you all.
All right, Rick,
Yes.
Heather.
Yes.
Jeremiah.
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Micah,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Gordon,
Surprise 6th item. Just kidding.
Go to dance.
you
Thank
did a
you,
great
Gordon.
job, Gordon.
I don't know if I'm even gonna make it now.
Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry.
Rick always
Sorry.
makes it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll barge
Just
in
coming early with
when
your
when
donkey.
he's coming out of the porta potty. Barges through the door. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon.
All right, second public comment. And since we have no one, we will move on. Okay, policies for second read. We have JLCF, JLDBB, and IKFAA.
So we reviewed these for first read at the last board meeting. Are there any questions, concerns, or follow-up? And can we move the bunch?
Yep.
Oh, hold on. I did have something.
Come on, Rick.
Yeah.
He's going down.
Something little too.
Running away.
Which policy was it, Rick?
ALCF.
Oh, wellness?
Wellness, yep.
Yeah, I think it was item G. And maybe it's just the way I read it, but is it missing the nutrition promotion? Is that missing a number or a quantity, or is that something that's filled out later?
Let me take a look. What item G you said?
I think it was G. Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. I made a note.
Oh, there's a
G is
blank.
nutrition.
Implementation of at least
One or more.
or more evidence.
That one.
Does it have a number in there or no? The one I read, I didn't think had a number.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so that was my question.
Oh,
So
Good.
Rick is recommending an amendment. Rick is one allowed, acceptable? At least one or more evidence-based healthy food. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Can somebody make a friendly amendment to the motion?
can I make a friendly amendment to the motion to add implementation of at least one or more evidence-based health foods under letter G, under nutrition promotion?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so first we vote on the amendment, then we vote on, did somebody move all
I don't
the
know that
policies?
anybody moved
She
in.
did.
Oh, did,
Move all
No,
of
I
them.
said, do we want to? move
oh,
all-
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Maura.
I
So you can
thought-
make a motion with the amendment. You don't
Can
have.
I make a motion to move all of these forward with the amended thing of one or more
JLCF.
Second.
for JLCF?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, roll call, Rick,
Yes,
Heather,
Yes.
Jeremiah,
Yes.
Maura,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Micah,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right. Woo. Okay, next Sanborn Regional School Board meeting will be a joint meeting with Fremont School Board held on Tuesday, everybody, Tuesday, May 9th
Calendar for Tuesday.
at 6 PM at the library, right here, Sanborn Regional High School. It was moved. Thank you very much to the Fremont School
Thank
Board
you.
members
Yes.
for making that change. We appreciate it very much. If no one is opposed, let's move into non-public per RSA 91A, semicolon 2, C and, number 3, Roman numeral 2, C and K.
Second.
All right, roll call in, Rick,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jeremiah.
Yes.
Maura.
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Micah.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, quick 5-minute break.